Hi everybody. I just wanted to share this dream I had a couple nights ago. Today is Monday, October 23rd, 2017. First of all, I want to apologize if you hear some banging outside. It's my father-in-law working on our back door. So this dream that I had. So I am a born-again Christian. I have been for the last couple months, and I have been trying really hard to just, pray as often as I can and ask God to speak to me. And I'm attending church, reading my Bible, and everything that I do revolves around God. And so, the reason that I started doing this was because I knew God was speaking to me very heavily for about a month before I became born again. And He was speaking to me with urgency. And I felt that at any second, I felt like I knew when He was coming. And at that time, I felt like I had seconds. Like I felt like I had seconds before He returned and I needed to be ready. Well, by God's mercy, we are still here, and He's still giving people a chance to turn their lives around and give their lives to Jesus, because He is coming soon. And it really does feel like seconds. It feels like we are at that point where we, His church, are going to be taken, and it's going to be such a glorious day. And for those who stay behind, it's going to be torment from there on out. But anyway, I want to get started with the dream that I had. So a couple nights ago, it was Saturday, I had a dream. So I was sleeping so peacefully, and I woke up because of this dream. And whether it's a dream or a vision, but I believe that when you have these dreams, they're visions and they're signs from God, because in the Bible it says that during the end of times, young people and old people will be preaching the gospel, and they will be having visions. And this dream that I had, my family and I, I'm married, I have a husband and a daughter. And well, the three of us were on a cruise, and we were returning back to Long Beach, California. From our cruise, we were about to dock at our port, and we had just finished having dinner at the buffet, and we ate a lot. If you've been on a cruise, you know how much food you eat in that time. But we had just finished having our dinner, and we went out to the dining room. It was an indoor dining room, but it was at the very top deck. And we were looking out at the stars. It was nighttime, and we were looking out, and we were peeking our head out of the window. And all of a sudden, you could hear the cruise director say, "We are in a state of emergency. If you are near a window, close your window and lock the window. And we're going to be in a state of emergency for the next couple hours." Or, yeah, it was for the next couple hours. And so we did that, and we were kind of scared. And all of a sudden, there were little, like, whirlpools in the ocean. And some were small, some were big. And all of a sudden, our ship started spinning in circles and spinning so fast. And the cruise director told us that we were sinking. And people, we were at the very top deck, but we could hear the people at the bottom decks of the ship, and they were screaming, and they were terrified, and you could just hear them screaming so loud and crying. And all of a sudden, and then while the ship is spinning in circles, my husband says, I picked the wrong time to eat dinner or something. This is a bad time to be full or something. And then somehow we made it out of the whirlpool, and we ended up at our dock. And I asked one of the cruise directors, "Hey, what was all that about?" He's like, "Well, if you look out to the ocean, you notice those little puddles? And he was saying we were having a bunch of earthquakes. And I looked out, and there were still earthquakes. There were earthquakes inside the ocean, and they were everywhere, and some were really small. And the way that you could see it was they were like little puddles, I guess. And it sounds really dumb because puddle in the ocean, but they were like little spots, and all of a sudden you can see the water sink down like an inch or so, and then it would kind of like splash water out of the puddle, and then all the water would kind of ripple, and some were really small little earthquakes, and then other ones were huge. And I just said, oh, well, thank goodness that all of this happened while we were docking, because if we were out at sea, who knows what would happen. So we get off of our cruise ship, and as we embarked the ship, I looked up at the sky, and the sky was this very ugly color. So it was like the top layer of the sky was like black, and then it turned maroon and red, and the closer it got to like the horizon, the lighter it would get, but the lightest color was like pink or orange. And I was thinking, wow, what's up with the sky? And as I'm looking at the sky, I see a bunch of jet planes, and I thought, oh, okay, well, there is an airport around here, so there must be like a private airport where, you could fly your jets. But all of a sudden, so then the jet planes were flying like away from us, and all of a sudden those jet planes turn back around, and they start shooting. And, I have never heard gunshots, but until I saw the news when the Las Vegas shooting happened a few weeks back. Then those gunshots that I heard on the news, it was the gunshots in my dream, and they were shooting down at people, and I was so scared. And I was still with the cruise director, my family and I. And I said, oh, what do we do? He said, I went through a training one time, and he said, if you can hide, you can take shelter underground in the sewage, in the sewer. And we found a little door that would lead you there. And as we're trying, and him and another cruise director, they hid in there. And I'm telling my husband, we don't have any food, we don't have any water. Like, please go find water. So he runs off and finds water, and I'm scared because those people are shooting down at us. And I'm waiting by the door of the sewer, and then finally he comes back, and with the water, he was able to find the water. But I was so scared, and then that's when I woke up. And I woke up, and I prayed, and sometimes I think God wakes me up at night, in the middle of the night, to pray. And I try really hard to pray, but I'm really guilty of accidentally falling back asleep. But I try to always acknowledge that I try to acknowledge him and let him know that I hear you, and I try to pray. But I'm just gonna have to start getting out of bed and stretching before I pray, so that I don't fall back asleep. But anyway, I woke up and I asked him, what was all that about? And I was thinking the next day, well, there were earthquakes in the ocean. What does that mean? And those jet planes shooting at us, could that mean that America's going to get invaded? Or when I asked my husband, we don't have food or water, could that mean that we are about to, is there going to be famine coming on? Like, all these questions inside my head. And sometimes I think when God speaks to you, you really need to pay attention to what he's telling you and really, really think about everything he says and because, maybe sometimes he won't tell you 100% everything that he wants to tell you. I think you need to do some investigation or really think or meditate on it so that you can really understand what he's telling you. But, those are the things that I was wondering. And the next day I went to church and, I'm working really hard on praying for my husband because he doesn't really know God, but he is asking me questions, and we've already had the conversation on, Christianity a couple times, and I just tell him, and I don't want to push, my beliefs on him, but if he asks me or if he says something about Christ that's incorrect, I'm going to correct him, and, I just try to tell him and I try to warn him, hey, what if one day we're sitting here and all of a sudden, me and the baby disappear? And, what are you going to do then? Like, it'll be too late for you to go up to heaven. I mean, you can still repent after the rapture, but it's going to be very hard to be a Christian during those times, during the tribulation times. So you might as well just do it now. Like, you have, and I'm telling everybody this, you have nothing to lose by believing in God, And when you give your life to Him, it is so rewarding and you just feel so at peace and there's no more fear. What do you have to lose by believing in Him and giving your life to Him? Just give it a shot. And for those people who don't believe, I want to tell you that whether you believe in God or not, He is real. And whether you believe in heaven and hell or not, it is real. And whether you believe in, death or not, we are going to die. And there is an afterlife. And I don't want you guys to wait until you die to find that out. Because once you die, that's it. That's it. And just imagine, approaching those pearly white gates, and then you see God and these angels before you, and they're crying and crying because they know your destiny. They know where you're going. Just think of that. And if you don't believe me, and I'm not going to force you to believe me or tell you that you are going to hell, because I don't know your relationship with God, but just ask Him. You have nothing to lose by asking God to show Himself to you. Ask Him, if you're real, show yourself to me. And crazy things are going to happen in your life where you're going to have no other choice but to believe in Him. And I pray that this video will reach out thousands of people. And if it could save one life from damnation, then I will be so grateful. And pray to God and ask Him to let you see a vision. Ask Him to speak to you. And you're going to see some crazy things and you're going to experience crazy things. But when you give your life to Him, you have no fear. You actually look forward to His return. You have no fear. All you have is love. And you feel His compassion. And you know that He's never going to leave you. It's an amazing feeling. But I hope you guys can subscribe to my channel because I want to continue connecting with you guys and sharing my experience as a reborn Christian. And I hope that you guys can share your experiences with me. And I pray that this video will reach many people. Well, thank you guys and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.